Hi, I'm Catherine, the Ranking Gal, and if you like this video, please give us a thumbs up by smashing that like button down below, and be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the notification bell so you don't miss our next video. We really hope you enjoy our video, and thanks for watching.
If you include the things you did as a child, perhaps everyone has cheated or at least broken the rules at least once in their life. But when an adult does it in a major sporting event with a tremendous amount of prestige and money at stake, the public is outraged. And as a result, it often becomes a major scandal, and the cheater's reputation is permanently scarred for life. For this list, we have the top cheaters in sports history, which we broke down into 10 categories for ease of reference. This is part 2, which includes categories 1 through 5. 6 through 10 are in part 2, which can be found via the link at the end of the video or at our channel. Hi, and welcome to another video from Ultimate Rankings. I'm Mark, the Ranking Guy. The rankings on our channel are the result of serious research and relative criteria, unlike the many other fluff videos out there. The goal of our channel is to bring you the most accurate, interesting, and informative top 25 rankings in all of sports and entertainment. Let's get to the rankings. The 1951 New York Giants baseball team established an elaborate system to steal signs given by opposing catchers to their pitchers and quickly relayed it to their hitter before the ball was thrown, giving the batter a serious advantage. The system involved a telescope in center field, a buzzer or bell, and a lot of winning games, including the 1951 National League pennant. In 2017 and 2018, the Houston Astros were stealing signs and signaling players with a scheme created by Alex Cora and Carlos Beltran. The Astros were heavily fined, lost future draft picks, and Cora, A.J. Hinch, and Jeff Luhnow were suspended for their involvement, but they were allowed to keep their championship. In 2007, the New England Patriots, under the guidance of head coach Bill Belichick, in an event known as Spygate, were caught taping the New York Jets' defensive signals, and he was fined $500,000, and the team was fined $250,000, and they lost a first-round draft pick. In 1919, 8 members of the Chicago White Sox, subsequently labeled the Black Sox, intentionally threw the World Series, and they lost to the heavy underdog Cincinnati Reds 5-3. They all accepted money from mobsters, led by gangster Arnold Rothstein, and eventually were all banned for life. The players involved include potential Hall of Famer shoeless Joe Jackson, whose level of involvement was questionable, but he did take the money. The scandal rocked baseball, and America for that matter, by revealing that its beloved pastime was not as innocent as many hoped it was. The Louisville Grays in 1877 were in first place late in the season and inexplicably started losing games at a ridiculous rate. An investigation uncovered that 4 Gray players were throwing games and they were all banned for life. The biggest scandal in NBA history involved veteran referee Tim Donaghy, who fixed games to appease mobsters and cover point spreads. Some of his wrongdoings potentially affected playoff games, and he eventually went to jail for 15 months for his involvement in the scheme. In the late 1990s, South African cricket star Hansie Cronje was involved in fixing numerous matches in exchange for money with an Indian bookie. He did it for 4 years and even got some teammates involved. Police eventually uncovered the whole plot, and he was banned for life from the sport. In 1951, it was discovered the City of College New York basketball team had been shaving points in a gambling scandal that involved 6 teams total and over 30 players. In the 1978-79 basketball season, 4 of the players of the Boston College team took money to change the outcome of games, effectively rigging the point spreads. The man behind the center of the scandal was mobster Henry Hill of the movie Goodfellas fame. In 1994, Steve Smith and Isaac Burton of the Arizona State basketball team shaved points to prevent them from covering the spread. They were bribed by Benny Silman, a former student turned campus bookmaker who coordinated this scheme with gamblers from organized crime. The gamblers waged a total of $568,000 on 4 games, and Silman was sentenced to 4 years in prison for masterminding the point shaving. In the 1988 Summer Olympics, South Korean light middleweight contender Park Si-hun was nearly knocked down twice by Roy Jones Jr. and was threatened with disqualification for not defending himself properly in his boxing match, but somehow got the decision. An investigation later found that 3 of the 5 judges, all of whom had scored the bout in Si-hun's favor, were wined and dined by Korean officials in the run-up to the event. The frequently corrupt IOC refused to overturn the decision even though everyone agreed, including Si-hun, that Jones had clearly won, while they simultaneously banned 2 of the 3 judges for life and updated the scoring system. The fact that the IOC didn't overturn an obvious hometown decision with proof of corruption and banned only 2 of the 3 judges just goes to show how deep the level of corruption exists within the IOC. In the 2002 Winter Olympics figure skating pairs competition, Marie Rennes-Laguna afterwards admitted that she was pressured by the head of the French Federation to vote for the Russian pair over the Canadian pair. Eventually, both teams were given gold medals since Gunya's vote was discarded, leaving the judges' vote tied at 4 apiece. The scandal was part of a vote trading scheme which would favor the French ice dance team, and it led to judging reform in the sport. In the 2012 Summer Olympics, 4 women's teams, 2 from Korea, 1 from China, and 1 from Indonesia, in the round-robin section of the tournament were expelled for match fixing. They were accused of purposely trying to lose their matches in order to improve their draw in the next round. It doesn't get much lower than the Spanish basketball team in the 2000 Paralympics in Sydney. The event was supposed to be for athletes who were intellectually disabled, but only 2 of the 12 members of the Spanish team were actually mentally disabled. They went on to win the gold medal easily, but when a Spanish journalist revealed the scheme, they were stripped of their medal. In the 1976 Olympics, fencer Boris Onyshchenko from Ukraine devised his sword so that he could trigger the electronic scoring system with his hand, which falsely recorded a score without him actually touching his opponent. He was disqualified and given a lifetime ban from the sport. In the 1968 Winter Olympics, the East German luge team, winners of gold and silver medals, were later disqualified when it was discovered that they were heating the rails of their sleds artificially just before the race. South African swimmer Cameron Vanderberg broke a world record in the 100-meter breaststroke final at the Summer Olympics, but later admitted to taking extra dolphin kicks to propel himself further than his rivals. In the breaststroke category, swimmers are only allowed 1 kick, but Vanderberg used 3. He was allowed to keep his medal, but competitors are now filmed underwater to make sure that they don't cheat. Bertel Sandstrom won a silver medal in the 1932 Summer Olympics, but was stripped of his medal when a judge later ruled that he was making a clicking noise to encourage his horse illegally. It is believed that over 10,000 East German athletes, some without their knowledge since they were disguised as vitamins, were on doping programs which affected the Olympic Games and other international competitions from 1968 through 1984. This doping benefited the women's swimmers and athletes more because of the significant increase in their testosterone level. For example, the East German women went from winning 0 gold medals in the 1972 Olympics to winning 11 out of 13 gold medals in the 1976 Olympics, much to the dismay of pre-Olympic favorite Shirley Babashoff and the rest of the U.S. women's swim team, all of whom were clean, and the U.S. women's team had earned 8 gold medals in 1972. Perhaps no athlete in Olympic history was robbed of more glory and gold medals in a single Olympic Games than Babashoff. Out of nowhere, the Chinese women, apparently taking a clue from the East Germans, suddenly won 12 of 16 gold medals and set 5 world records at the 1994 World Aquatics Championships. Between 1990 and 1998, 28 Chinese swimmers tested positive for performance-enhancing drugs, almost half of the world's totals of drug offenders in the sport. In late 1994, 7 Chinese women tested positive in the Asian Games, and these positive tests so badly depleted the Chinese team that they only won 1 gold medal at the 1996 Olympics. The Chinese government denied that the steroid use was officially sanctioned, stating that the numerous positive tests were accidents that could happen anywhere, but common sense says otherwise. I'm sure that there was government-sanctioned doping previously in the Soviet Union. My guess is that they've been doing it since about the same time as the East Germans in 1968, just not to the same extent. However, there was no real proof until Russia was caught in the 2014 Sochi Olympics. A lab director in Russia says he provided athletes with a 3-drug cocktail of banned substances in a systematic state-run operation to help them perform better. Also, the Russian intelligence services devised a way of opening and resealing urine samples to cover up the doping. Russia has been punished in the recent Olympics, but many people think not to the extent that they should have been.
Hi again. If you liked this video, please give us a thumbs up by smashing that like button down below, and be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the notification bell so you don't miss our next video. We really hope you enjoyed our video, and I am dying to find out who's number one.
There have been tens of thousands of sports steroids cheaters through the years, so we'll just highlight the most famous ones. In a sport that is reportedly, or at least was, the dirtiest of all sports in terms of steroid use, Lance Armstrong was the king of cycling and also its biggest cheater. Because the drug testing was so lacking and the steroids so effective in giving the competitors an advantage, it has been estimated that for years, almost all the cyclists that placed in the top 10 were taking steroids. This doesn't justify Armstrong cheating, but you can understand why he started taking steroids if this is true. Armstrong won 7 straight Tour de France titles, all while using steroids, and because of his cheating, he was stripped of his titles and lost millions in endorsements. Baseball had a well-documented steroid problem for years, mainly due to the sport turning a blind eye to the problem because it resulted in more crowd-pleasing home runs. The most famous steroid users were Barry Bonds, Alex Rodriguez, Mark McGwire, Sammy Sosa, Jose Canseco, and Roger Clemens. Michelle Smith made history as the first Irish woman to win a gold medal in the 1996 Summer Olympics, winning 3 gold medals and a bronze. It was later discovered that she used alcohol to tamper with her urine samples to avoid a positive result in her drug tests. Since this happened after the Olympics, she was allowed to keep her medals. Arnold Schwarzenegger has acknowledged using steroids during his career as a champion bodybuilder, where he won 7 Mr. Olympia titles. He likes to point out that he used them in limited doses and that they were experimental and legal at the time. Okay, then maybe he didn't cheat in sports, but his ex-wife seems to have ample proof that he cheated. Olympic sprinters Ben Johnson and Marion Jones were both caught doing steroids and were stripped of their medals and records. Johnson was caught twice, and Jones served 6 months in jail for lying to authorities. I'll finish this series on cheating with the sad state of women's track and field sprint world records. I am 99.99% sure the 100 and the 200, both held by FloJo, set in 1988, the 400 held by Maria Koch, set in 1985, and the 800 held by Jarmila Kratochvilova, set in 1983, were all aided by steroids. FloJo's physical changes, her deepened voice, facial hair, acne, and muscles, and drastic drop in times made it obvious she was taking steroids. Her best time before 1988 was 10.96, an incredible 0.47 seconds difference between that and her world record time of 10.49. And when they announced in 1988 that there were going to be random drug testing from now on, she surprisingly and suddenly retired. Koch was part of a state-sponsored doping system by the East Germans, and there is documentation, her doses only on paper, so her records still stand, that she was part of it. Also, they unearthed a letter from Koch complaining that a compatriot was given stronger doses of the steroids because her uncle was president of the pharmaceutical company that fed the East German athletics regime. Kratochvilova was a mediocre runner until magically at the age of 29 she became successful and set her record at the unheard of age of 32. I'll let you decide what to think about her physical appearance, but it's not feminine. Before Kratochvilova record run, the 800-meter record had fallen 23 times since World War II. It has not been broken since and now stands as the oldest world record in track and field. Hey, just a reminder that we do both sports and entertainment ranking videos, so please check them all out at our video channel. We don't expect anyone to completely agree with our rankings, so please let us know what your rankings are and what you agree and disagree with in the comments section. And feel free to let us know what ranking videos you'd like to see next. And thanks for watching.